Item 6 is the Milestones and the Year in Review, and I'd now like to introduce Giulia Baggio, our new CEO of G21, who will take us through the milestones of 2021. Thank you, Giulia.
Thank you, Chair. Let's begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on whose lands we meet tonight, the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar people. We pay our deep respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. A year ago, we were looking forward to 2021. We thought we'd finished with COVID and our world would be bouncing back to a new normal. Little did we know our lives would be turned upside down once again. After the summer break, I took up the role of CEO in February, and with our new chair, Stephanie Asher, took a moment to look back at the achievements of this organisation. With the passage of nearly 20 years, we see a remarkable story of partnership, the coming together of community, business and local government to develop regional strategies and projects has created in itself a rare and valuable asset, and that is a culture of sustained collaboration. Collaboration is not easy. It can be very messy, it takes quite a bit of patience, but it is something we now do exceptionally well. Through this effort, G21 has now become one of Australia's most livable regions. We're attracting deep investment and driving a major social and economic transformation. From this very strong foundation, we now launch ourselves into the next 20 years. Our task is to shape this extraordinary rate of population growth, among the fastest in Australia at 2.6% per annum, and that's been happening for 5 years in a row, a rate that no one could have predicted. The pandemic has turbocharged this trend with the arrival of thousands of people over the last 18 months. Growing well, rather than just growing, will determine our future livability. COVID lockdowns have revealed inequities and weaknesses. Social disconnection, a disproportionate workload which has landed on the shoulders of women in particular as families juggled work and homeschooling, unaffordable housing, labour shortages and patchy digital coverage which continues to dog our schools and businesses. Adversity at the very least brings clarity. So we must continue to work with purpose, energy and vision to keep improving living standards in every one of our communities. Our partnership with Victorian and Commonwealth governments will be more important than ever as we manage our recovery and this remarkable period of growth. In April and May this year, our board and pillar leaders took the first steps towards mapping a refreshed direction for the years ahead. We identified new areas of opportunity and emerging roadblocks, and we reviewed our long-term goals in order to inform our short-term priorities. After many months of consultation and discussion, we have developed an updated collection of priority projects. Some carry over from previous years and others are new. And I'm going to touch on just a few of the major themes that emerged. First and foremost, G21's growth areas. Community infrastructure such as schools, libraries, sporting facilities, these are needed as soon as possible, especially in hotspots like Armstrong Creek and Bannockburn, which are growing at a phenomenal pace. Transport. It goes hand in hand with high quality livability, enabling commerce, social connection and education to flourish. But G21 is outgrowing its transport network. We are calling for new and more frequent rail connections, ferry and bus connections, a network of connected active trails that allow people to commute by bicycle, scooter, by foot or even horseback. All of these modes are needed to reduce road congestion and reliance on cars. That said, we are also calling for major upgrades of our roads to better connect our towns and villages and improve the intra-regional flow of traffic. Our big strategic assets, Geelong Port and Avalon Airport, are expanding and need to be ready with connecting roads that are fit for purpose and rail to receive growing numbers of visitors and freight, especially with the Spirit of Tasmania arriving to make its home at Geelong Port next year. Both assets are major gateways to our region and important to our recovery, as well as Victoria's competitiveness with other states. Housing. A shortage of social housing, affordable housing and key worker housing has reached crisis point. Apollo Bay and other coastal towns either have no housing or it's so expensive they can't attract essential workers. Colac's housing shortage has been so acute, workers have been bussed in to fill local jobs. This labour shortage is a handbrake on prosperity, and it's frustrating for our businesses as they get back on their feet after 2 rugged years. We're calling on state and federal governments to work more urgently with us on the short and long-term solutions. Digital connectivity remains a problem. It's a fundamental part of daily life, whether you're a business, a student, a parent, or someone experiencing disadvantage. Progress is being made with upgrades and new rollouts, but again, rapid population growth is outstripping it and putting pressure on a network that lags well behind metropolitan standards. Our digital skills have also fallen behind, and programs are needed fairly urgently to upskill our communities. Kickstarting tourism and our cultural sector is a priority as we move into summer. High on our list is the continuing delivery of the city deal, especially the convention centre, and may 2022 be a year of cranes in the sky as this build gets underway. The expansion of the Geelong Gallery, a new Australian National Surfing Museum at Torquay, harbour redevelopments, adventure and bike trails are all excellent funding opportunities which will add value and excitement to our tourism and hospitality offering. 2 new priorities have emerged from our consultations in 2021. We now have several First Nations projects. These are cultural tourism initiatives around the Yuyangs, Breakwater and Barwon River parklands, which aim to protect and enhance these important cultural sites. G21 is committed to working more closely with our First Nations organisations to better acknowledge, understand and embrace the region's 60,000-year-old history. We've also introduced a stronger focus on sustainability as a priority. This encompasses support for clean energy and clean tech investment, commercial waste and recycling opportunities, multi-agency water management and emissions reductions through a range of measures, including electric vehicle charging stations, renewable energy purchase agreements by councils and businesses, energy efficiency and more solar rooftops for homes and buildings. Our region can be a leader here. Just today, Geelong Port became the first port in Australia to achieve certified carbon neutrality. Well done to Brett Winter and his team. All of this, of course, is just a snapshot. You can find the full priority projects document on the G21 website, and a link will be sent to you after the AGM as well. Last month, our new priorities had their first outing when our mayors met with federal ministers and shadow ministers for our annual Canberra delegation. All MPs shared our concern about housing and labour shortages, and most were surprised to learn how fast our region is expanding. I should note that the Chair and I have also held briefings with state MPs throughout the year. G21 will have plenty more to say in 2022, a year that will be topped and tailed by federal and state elections. It's a bit like a blue moon or Halley's Comet. It doesn't come around very often, and we will be making the most of it. In other major news for G21, we received a generous grant from Regional Development Victoria to develop an integrated transport strategy for the region, a project conceived by our transport pillar. Our social housing project, which started in 2020, has gone from strength to strength, with our host organisation, Syra Villa, attracting a funding boost from our philanthropic partners, the Percy Baxter Trust, Geelong Community Foundation and the Anthony Costa Foundation. This will carry our work into 2022, with the project to include affordable and key worker housing. We thank our partners profoundly. This is important work and we could not do this without you. We also worked with other local organisations to develop a creative industry strategy, which will be released soon, as well as a report called Growing Up in G21, which measures the wellbeing of children in the region from the ages of 0 to 8. That will be launched soon as well. G21's annual stakeholder forum fell victim to the snap lockdown in August. Despite the disappointment, our stellar lineup of speakers will return in April 2022 for a bigger and better event, face-to-face, fingers crossed, hopefully in Torquay. Thank you to the G21 board. I could not ask for a better group of smart and dedicated people. And to our chair, Stephanie Asher, who has worked with energy and good humour in a really tough year. To our pillar groups and their chairs and deputies, a great font of grassroots information, ideas and creativity. I really have loved our meetings. to our members who give us a strong foundation that enables us to do this important work for the region, and of course to G21's staff who have been steadfast through a rollercoaster year and given their all to keep up the momentum. You have my gratitude. Our annual report to the region can be found online, and we will also email the link to our members following tonight's AGM. A special thanks to Lauren Fanning, who puts these reports together. It is quite a task. We are all temporary partners and co-custodians of this very special part of the world. The Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar First Nations people understood better than anyone the beauty, the bounty and the majesty of this region, and they continue to guide our thinking to this day. Caring for country, caring for each other and caring for the planet so that we may all prosper is at the heart of everything we will be aspiring to do under the united banner of G21. Thank you.